Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another One Piece review. Today we're going to be looking at the Zou arc, which is part of the Whole Cake Island saga. I'm going to look at Zou specifically, and then we're going to look at the Whole Cake arc next week, and then probably Reverie, and then the first part of Wano as I finish up reading One Piece and catch up to the serialization release. So, yeah, let's talk about Zou. The premise of this part of the story is that it's time to reunite with the crew that moved on ahead from Dressrosa, and they finally arrive at Zou. It turns out that it's a giant fucking elephant with an island, or with like a city on its back. It's not even an island. And so much has happened at Zou since even before the other group of characters arrived, since Sanchi and crew arrived, right? So we have a lot of big building, setting building, world building preparations for Whole Cake Island. But first, we have to meet the people that live on this island. So yeah, really good stuff. The plot line here, the major points are the journey to Zou from Dressrosa. They have to go. It turns out they can't really follow a log pose, as I understand it, because Zou is another not island. There is not a physical magnetic place to lock onto, but they can find the place, and the way that they do it is, I think Trafalgar Law has a Vibra card, and I think it's for Beppo, and so he follows it to his crew, and so they can find Zou. Then we get the entrance of Weevil, which is supposedly Whitebeard's son, and the only things that they have in common is the really weird like horn stash that they have. And he looks kind of like a Viking. I don't know. He's a really odd character. He looks really interesting though. Like his character design is funny, but I don't know if he's really going to be Whitebeard's son. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he just wants like an inheritance or something. So I don't know. And then we go up the leg of Sunesha, which is the elephant, and they meet the minks, who are talking animal people. They actually seem to be an older race of people, and so they actually think that humans are actually hairless minks. So that's really fun. It's really interesting. And I really like that setup because when they first heard of the minks, everyone thought that they were man-eaters, that they were cannibals, that they were these evil creatures. And it turns out that they're just basically naturally occurring, what's it called, mammal zone people, essentially. And I'm guessing that zone comes from Zou. And it's pretty interesting how that kind of happens. I'm not sure. There has to be some connection between the minks and the animal devil fruits. I mean, I feel like there has to be. I don't know, it might not be true, but it seems kind of interesting. We've had fish people, so it's interesting that now we have mammal people. I'm curious if we're going to have reptilian people and other kind of groups of people like that. I think technically there are snake people already in the story. We just haven't really seen them. Like, there hasn't been a character that is a snake person that isn't using a devil fruit, like Boa's sisters. So yeah, it's interesting. I really like the meeting with the minks. And then we see that Burgess, I think his name is Jesus Burgess. He shows up somewhere where the Revolutionary Army has their base, and he does shitty things. Then we get to see Buggy again, which is fun. And we get to meet the Mink Guardians, which are the people that work under the Night King, the Cat Viper. And then we get the explanation of the destruction of town. It turns out that there's this guy called Jack, who is like a really badass looking dude. Like, holy shit, he looks so awesome. But apparently he's a fishman, I think. And he has a mythical zone mastodon or woolly mammoth type fruit. And it's interesting because I think he ends up in the ocean, but he doesn't die because he's a fishman, but he just can't move. So that's a really interesting way of like dealing with the reality of devil fruits. I think it's cool. I don't know. I feel like it should negate it more than that, because human devil fruit users die in the ocean because they lose strength and so they can't breathe. But the fishman can breathe. He just can't use his powers. So it's really interesting how that works. But that happens later in the arc. And so the destruction is really interesting, really important. It turns out that they're looking for Raizo, which is the guy that Kanjuro and Kinemon are looking for as well. And then everyone gets reunited, everyone learns the story, and then it turns out that Sanji is missing because he was taken away. So we get in the flashback that explains all of this stuff, and then we get to see why Sanji is leaving. Apparently he has a secret dark past. He is related to these people called the Germa 66, which are basically like Nazi Power Rangers, essentially. And like, I don't like that they're Nazis, but like the idea is so cool and so interesting, and it's so weird. And Oda, of course, would come up with something like this. And he happens to be a family member of these people, and they're finally calling him back to their country because he is going to go marry one of Big Mom's daughters, whose name is Pudding, and she's the 35th daughter of Big Mom. So that's crazy. It's interesting. Then we get to see this interaction between the crew, the Minks, and them not wanting to tell the Minks that the samurai are here because they think that they're going to hate the samurai because the destruction of their city occurred due to the samurai's partner. Turns out that they had nothing to worry about. The samurais and the Minks are actually allies. They're friends of each other due to the fact that Cat Viper and Dogstorm used to be friends with the samurai's boss, who was named Odin, which is really cool. We get the development of this alliance between the Minks, the ninjas, the samurais, and the Straw Hats. And I think Trafalgar Law is also part of the alliance. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember the exact details. At this point, it's been about 2 weeks since I read this. And then we get Sunesha versus Jack. So a giant elephant versus a man that has a woolly mammoth power. And the elephant just fucking yeets him out. And it's awesome. And then that's when we get to see the fact that fishermen still suffer the consequences, but because they can breathe underwater, they don't die, and so they are more likely to survive. So that's really interesting. And then we head over to Sanji at Whole Cake Island while the Reverie preparations are on the way. Reverie being this very important summit of all of the important nations of the world. So it's really, really interesting. And man, this story was great. I know I didn't focus anything on the details, but the plotline is really good. I really enjoy the Minks. I think they're really funny. There's so much stuff about them that is just a lot of enjoyable and endearing stuff. They definitely have the ability to charm you in the same way that, you know, cats and dogs and bunnies are going to charm you in real life. But because they're also humanoids, it's really fun. And it's just really interesting. They do this thing called Garchu, which is just like a physical like hug in order to say hello to you, and it's really funny. I like it. It's really cute. In terms of characters, we get Sanji's backstory. Finally, we get to learn about Sanji because he did say that he was from the North Blue originally, I think, and then he moved to the East Blue, and there's a reason for that, and it's really cool. We get to see that Nami feels bad about the fact that she let Sanji go. Nami is a great character because she started off really selfish and slowly but surely has been developing into a better and better and better person, and I love her so much. She's great. We get a Chopper badass moment, which is cool, and I really enjoy Chopper a lot in this arc. It's also fun to see Chopper interact with people that are basically just like him, which is great, and he even gets to meet a Lady Moose, a person, which is fun, and I quite like that. We get the introduction of Cat Viper, Dogstorm. We get to meet Wanda, who initially is wearing Nami's clothes, and so everyone thinks that she ate her, but no, it's just a tradition of the Minks to trade clothing. And then we get to meet Carrot, who's a very fun character. I quite like her a lot, but she has this kind of like more childish energy, and I don't know if the crew needs another person with that same energy, because Luffy already has that, right? So I like Carrot, but I don't necessarily think she's going to be a Straw Hat. I don't necessarily see her joining. So I don't know. We get to meet Peckums, who is a little lion man, but he has a turtle shell. And I think this is also a mythological reference. Sunesha is also a mythological reference to East Asian mythology, and I think Peckums is as well. Lion turtles are a thing. At least that's what I learned from Avatar. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but I'm pretty sure lion turtles are a mythological creature in East Asian mythology. So yeah, and then we get to meet Pudding, of course, and a bunch of other lovable minks. They're all really funny and really likable, and I like them a lot. I think they're really fun. In terms of world building, we have the minks and the humans. Of course, humans think that minks are man-eaters. This is, of course, not the case. We also get to see that there's been a lot of minks in the story so far. It's interesting. It might be that those two gorilla guys that are friends with Nolan's descendants might also be minks. I'm not sure. Beppo is obviously a mink as well. And it's really interesting to see this. I really like the little tidbit of information that I already mentioned, which is that minks think of humans as different types of minks, and so they're hairless ape minks. So that's funny. It's interesting. I like that relationship a lot because, yes, it makes sense that in this world, all of these humanoid people are going to be interrelated in some way, and so it makes sense that they would do stuff like this, right? So, or that there would be these thought processes that occur, right? Of course, humans and giants are very clearly related. They're basically the same people, just stretched out or really gigantic in some cases. Minks and humans are, of course, going to be related because humans did evolve from animals and minks are just evolved animals as well. It's kind of difficult to decide where humans and fishmen come up, but you could say that fishmen and humans created mermaids because mermaids look humanoid from the waist up, or look like humans from the waist up, and fishmen are a convergent evolution in this world. What other people are there? Long leg people are just humans with super long legs. Long arm people, of course, are just humans with an extra joint in their arms. It's like, it makes sense that they would have these thought processes, and I really like that. I think that's really well done. Again, I have an inkling or a situation here where I think that zone fruits are just a naturally occurring harnessing of the mink's powers. And I also think that minks might have to do with how smile fruits come to be, because smile fruits are basically just fake zones. And if zones are connected to minks, and minks to the Avanzao, which is kind of like zone, and then they're connected, I think that there has to be some reason why they exist together. And I'm really excited about that. And we also get to see the first time that we get to see like a possible end game coming up, which is when they introduce the road poneglyphs, which are these special red stones. And we get to learn that there's like 60 poneglyphs. Out of those 60, only half of them have relevant information to the Void Century and the journey to Laugh Tale. And out of those 30, only 4 of them actually tell you how to get to Laugh Tale. One of them is on Zoe, one of them is on Kaido's Wano, one of them is on Big Mom's Whole Cake Island, and there is a unknown one somewhere else that they have to go to. So that's really interesting, really cool. I'm quite happy to see this. And we get a real look at this at the Yonkos. And if I remember correctly, at the end of this part of the story is when we meet Kaido for the first time. So that's really cool. I think it might have been actually at the end of Dressrosa. I can't remember, but Kaido becomes relevant here at the end. So really good stuff, really enjoyable. In terms of the artwork, I think it's really fun how the minks exist, because a lot of them just look like humans with fur and animal heads, and then some of them just look like animals with more humanoid traits. It's really interesting how they kind of happen, and it's really cool that all of them are mammals, and so they only eat things that are not mammals. Interesting, makes sense, understandable. And then I think it's really interesting how lately I've been noticing that Oda takes a lot of time developing the facial expressions of his characters a lot more. We get to see a lot of expressions from Nami this time, and that turns into a lot more stuff in Whole Cake Island. And of course, Nami has awesome outfits, and of course, there's also going to be a little bit of fan service here and there. I think there was 1 or 2 bath scenes here where Nami is showering or changing. I can't remember exactly. And really good stuff. I enjoyed it overall. A rating for this arc is a 5 out of 5. Of course, this 5 out of 5 is not exactly the same as like the 5 out of 5 that I gave Marineford, or the 5 out of 5 I get Water 7 or Enies Lobby. This is a great arc, and I really enjoyed it, but it is not at the same level as those, because this is primarily a world-building arc, and I love these. I really enjoy them, but because there's no payoff for what is being set up, this doesn't have the same level as like awesomeness that something else does, right? So it's a 5 out of 5 because I enjoyed it completely and wholly, but it is not like the best thing ever in One Piece, if that makes sense. It was enjoyable, and it was actually relatively relaxing because it was just enjoyable to listen to these people talk about their lives and their distinctions and what's going on in their situation. And I really liked it. I thought it was great. So Zoe is awesome, and I really liked it. And I have nothing else to say, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.